To make some of these videos a little bit more spontaneous, what I've done is I've wrote down all the individual ideas I've had for videos and I've put them in this, picking them out at random. And this is what I've picked to talk about right now. So if the camera didn't get that focused, the video today I want to talk about is Depop versus eBay. I'm just in the middle of the rails after finishing a live for Tilt, where we do live auctions, and we did that for like 3 hours. But yeah, the two platforms that I would say sit in some sort of direct competition with one another, eBay being something that's been around from the late 90s, Depop being something that's been around since 2010, two completely different audiences and two completely different approaches for, I guess, handling the way that you either sell or buy on there. So my logic for somewhere like eBay is that eBay has been the audience that is more catered towards, say, like the mature adult or the older person. So something like this, a nice quilted barber coat, has a lot more weight on eBay. Because I guess with the fact that it's been around in the 90s, the culture of second-hand purchasing, as much as most people might think, oh, this is like a young person's perspective now to be sustainable, people have been second-hand buying way before like this whole current trend of being sustainable. Hopefully not a trend, hopefully something that's actually going to stick, has been around. And eBay has been, I would say, a big shareholder in that second-hand economy of growing. However, there's definitely a distinction between, I guess, brands that work on both platforms, not always together, but in definite different fashions. So how I kind of perceive Depop is the platform that would sell items that you might consider more on trend in a moment, like things that are more considered Y2K or when it was all this bloke core and stuff like that. Whereas eBay tends to be more of a classic customer base. And I think what you find is certain brands will resonate with people on eBay a lot more than they will on Depop. For example, something like a Ben Sherman, nice little button-up, which is a really nice button-up shirt. However, what's interesting about different markets is this is the same item if you sold it on Depop and the same item if you sold it on eBay. However, the way it's perceived and read through the audience is completely different because on eBay, you have, I would say, a bigger market of older people on there, people that have understood brands, people that have been there when these brands were growing up, when they were growing up with these brands. But people on Depop are more fixated on different specifics of brands, something perhaps like a Nike vest with a detail on the top like that. So when we come around to sort of look at both of the platforms and have a comparison on them, Depop almost hasn't got so much of a drive for a vintage persuasion either. People just like set brands, Nike, Ralph Lauren, I guess Stussy and Stone Island and things like that. And they will buy that on Depop. But I guess more contemporary brands that have an older audience, like maybe Hugo Boss, Barber, Gant, those sort of brands tend to do a lot better on eBay. So I think before almost having a comparison about both apps, it's probably a better discussion to talk about what your intentions are. Whether you're a buyer or whether you're a seller, you can kind of know which platform is going to be better for you based on knowing what you actually want, either to buy or to sell. So if you're like, I'm after hoodies like this, and I don't want to spend more than £20 on this, then you could find these on eBay most definitely through more likely than non-auction-based systems. However, on Depop, you will be able to find this item at an affordable price. What I'll say as well, actually, the one, not a con, but something that's probably more annoying from a customer going on to browse on somewhere like eBay is at this point now, because it's the platform with the most products on, I don't know the numbers on it, but you could quite easily look at how many items are uploaded to eBay a week or a day, and I bet you would be like, oh my goodness. With that, people obviously maximize the use of the buy it now features on eBay. So you might look for, say, this pair of, I don't know, so these Timberland jeans, right? Somebody might have a supply of selling loads of that pair, just like a stockpile of it with like a buy it now feature. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you're looking to buy secondhand, I feel like you like the nature of looking through, I thought that was the door, looking through lots of variations of similar items, but having a feel like you're buying that individual item. Whereas eBay can give a sense like, if you saw this Nike hoodie on an eBay listing and it was like, you could buy it in green, you could buy it in blue, you could buy it in red, the chances are it wouldn't be secondhand. Obviously that's not what they're just for, but it's like that. eBay has a lot more of an Amazon style integrated formula for how people use it, as in eBay is definitely where a lot of mass-produced stuff ends up being. Now, there's lots of other platforms other than Depop and other than eBay. You know, Grailed, Vinted, Etsy, Poshmark. Just lots and lots of different platforms for loads of different preferences, and you know, a lot of the same factors and features come into play with it. Whether it's what's the current demographic of the people that use the app, what's the current intention of the people that are selling on the platforms, what type of brands are there. Like, if you took an item, for example, like a barber, so say we went and took this barber coat, and not just Depop and eBay, but just to like give this. If you put this same picture and you like looked for this item on maybe 10 to 15 different selling apps, and you looked for the average price, I bet there would be such a fluctuation on that individual price. And when it comes down to it, it's about what the brand is and what the brand represents. So something like Barber has the same presence as maybe something like Berghaus, where the people that used to buy that brand were a lot older, that understood the quality of it. So like Berghaus is obviously using Gore-Tex fabric most of the time. Barber just has a very iconic quilted design. The wax jackets are very popular, and people, and that design and style is almost so well known. In the similar way that like a Levi's jeans and Ralph Lauren button-up Oxford shirts are known to that same degree. So eBay and Depop is quite a hard argument actually to compare it and go which one's better or which one is more preferred to you. What I would say is, if you like buying and looking for contemporary brands, the better place to find more consistent and more realistically consistent items in the price marks and with good quality would be somewhere like eBay. Whereas if you are looking for, you know, Tommy Hilfiger, Levi's, Nike bottoms and stuff like that, just to give some examples, Depop is a better bet. The audience is always giving a good placement. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of people that use, that are young people that use eBay and lots of older people that use Depop. But as sort of like its current heavier placement, I would say that's where it really is. So yeah, that's my view on Depop and eBay. I personally enjoy and like the simplicity of Depop a lot more. I think it's a lot easier to cater for selling, because eBay wants you to drum in so much information, because they have so many items on there that if you have all these different recommendations added, then you are within a smaller group of specifications. So when someone searches something specific, you will be there amongst those specific people. So I guess they probably had to do that with all the quantity that they've got. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Depop versus eBay.